Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the City of Madeira Beach Board of Commissioners Special Workshop Meeting. Today is Tuesday, June 10th, and the time is 5:01. Would the city clerk please call the roll?
Vice Mayor Hodges?
Here.
Commissioner Lister?
Here.
Commissioner Poe? Commissioner Shantz? Here. Mayor Palladino?
Here. First topic, Mr. City Manager, if you want to go ahead with item A.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And it's got Vince and I listed on this, but this is a marina thing, so this is basically Dave Marsicano's show. But let me start, and Dave can take it from there, and then I think we'll have some dialogue afterwards. One is that the rumor on the street was that the property was sold in the last 5 days. That's not true. About an hour ago, I just got off the phone with one of the owners. He said absolutely not the case. They're only interested in working with us, so on and so forth. I think what's happening, and I think what Vince and I and Dave realized through that phone call is this, is that the existing tenant is probably trying to get financing for this property. And when with minimal money down or not a substantial amount of money down, he's finding that the property probably doesn't appraise for the asking price. And so he's probably capable of being financed for a number of different things, but in this instance he's not. And so I think that that's probably what we're experiencing at the moment. So if you've read the condition report, it's not a very favorable condition report, but we knew that going into this. We know the structures on that piece of property. We know the condition of the seawall. We knew the docks weren't exactly what we wanted. We knew all those things. So staff and I today went through an exercise of, is this something we still want to recommend or proceed with, or should we tell you the reasons why maybe this isn't a good idea? And I think Dave hit it on the head. At the end of the day, you want transient docks in John's Pass. And, excuse me, I think this is probably your best route in getting it. The transient docks that we wanted to put in and going through the permit process and finding where to put the docks, so on and so forth, Dave estimates that we could probably squeeze in 5 or 6 docks somewhere on that piece of property that we own by the bell tower. That doesn't do it for you. You want 20 or 25 slips where people can come and do their thing. And again, and I've said it before in regards to the City Hall project, this is one of the very few times that you can invest money in a piece of property that can probably turn a profit. The beauty of it is you're buying real estate. And if you get into it for 3 or 4 years and it becomes a bad idea, you put the piece of real estate on the market and hopefully, bow out with minimal costs. And so at the end of the day, staff is still recommending that you proceed. Now, with this condition report, I think we go back to them saying, listen, your number is a little bit high considering this. Here they gave us a number, we get an assessment or a condition report, and the condition report is, call it what it is, it's poor. So I think there's a little negotiating to do on the price. That being said, Tom Trask and I participated in a conference call with the owners, and they're more apt to be flexible in price if we close on the deal sooner than later, meaning probably in the next 90 days. If you go to Vince's side of things, that works to Vince's advantage because we can borrow money pretty cheaply right now. We don't know what that will be, say, April or May of next year if we did what we thought we were going to do and just sign a promissory note, put a little money in the escrow account, and then pay the big price tag later on. So with that, we also went through an exercise today saying, well, geez, why don't we buy it, and is there an economy of return, so to speak, in renting it to the existing tenant for an additional 6 months? Or what Tom had suggested possibly was, do we rent it to him for a little bit of a better deal than what he's currently paying in exchange for an agreement saying come May 30th or whenever, you'll be a good tenant up until then, and then you agree to vacate the premises. And so you've got a lot of moving parts in this deal, but I think it's still a deal that you proceed with. And I don't think, after getting off the phone with them today, I don't think they're pitting us against each other. I don't think they're pitting the tenant and his offer against us, because I don't think the tenant has the wherewithal to get financed for that particular piece of property. And that's what I think we realized today. So with that, I'd like to hand it off to Dave. I want Dave to kind of walk through the condition report with y'all. and then his vision, so to speak, for how he would run things down there, and we had some preliminary discussions about that today. You know, the amount of profit he needs to realize initially based off of how Vince has got this finance is not substantial. I've got faith in Dave and how he runs his current marina, and I think he'd be able to pull the same thing off there. So you know, in year 1 or 2 of any business, it's not easy to turn a profit, but I think we'd be okay. So I don't think you want to be really concerned with that right now. Obviously, it's a business venture, and you want to be concerned about the cents coming in and out. But remember, too, that this is part and parcel with that transient dock thing. And if you want transient docks in Johns Pass any time in the next, I'd say, 2 to 3 years, this is your avenue to get it done. And everybody knows that. I'm not speaking out of or showing my hand to anybody. That's the way it is. So with that, Dave, if you want to walk them through the report and then kind of, you know, walk them through exactly what you're thinking. And
Right,
then,
I think you covered most of it. I think it's, you know, important, if we want transient docks down there that are gonna be able to accommodate more than just a few boats, this is the way to do it. It's important to realize you also own the property adjacent to this, which there's an opportunity for us to use, to extend the docks that are currently there, to add some more slips. The opportunities, really, it's outstanding. It's the only way that I think we can bring the transient type numbers that we want down to Johns Pass in boats. We'll be able to get bigger boats in there. It's going to be much easier to maneuver in that area. We would have it all transient, and then we would also operate what's currently the fuel business, and then a small bait business like we do at the city marina. It kind of would reflect that, run off the same software. We would have it staffed similarly, and really it's the only way that if the city wants to have, and we have all these neighboring communities, waterfront homes, boats, you know, any weekend you're out, how many people do you see running around, and none of them can stop there to have lunch? I think it's a unique opportunity, and especially with the additional property next door. It's a real, and you covered most of it. This condition report talks about the current dock house, and it should be condemned, in which I don't think they're operating out of that dock house now. I haven't been down there. I don't know, but I don't think they are. That would all have to be replaced. So there's some substantial stuff to do, but it's not enough to deter us from this project. I think it's great for the pass, the merchants. It's going to be good for the whole city. It's going to be good for all our neighboring cities and residents, visitors.
Dave.
Dave, I didn't think it looked as bad. You know, they didn't report it as bad as I thought it would be. My own personal thought. In this Fiddle Brain of Pine, I looked at that place and thought, this is really a dump. How about you, Terry? How did you feel about that report when you saw it? I thought it'd be a lot worse, did you? I'm not kidding you,
I've
honey.
rebuilt the dock after Hurricane Elena in
Oh.
'85. You know, we actually still
Yeah.
owned the dock at that time. So we rebuilt it after Hurricane Elena, and we put in some new pilings, but those pilings have been there since 1985.
That's a
They've
lot.
been sleeved with concrete since then. There's been.
Those pilings. The new ones have been put in recently. I mean,
Right.
obviously, the ones on the ends are put in recently. But in order to put pilings on the inside of this, you have to take the top off,
Yeah.
which, again, the boardwalk wasn't there
That's it.
for the longest time.
Right.
Paul built the boardwalk when he bought it in '86. He
Yeah.
built the boardwalk
He put
across
that
the top of it.
extension on the boardwalk, absolutely.
Yeah, so, you know, there's really no way to get through the boardwalk to get to the pilings to replace them, so that's gonna be an issue.
But tell me this.
But we could
We can do it.
We could relocate that existing dockhouse somewhere else on the property with having, you know, that much property to work with. Because again, we own the 3 lots there. There's 3 lots plus the park
That's
that
our
the city
park.
owns.
Our
There's a-
only concern is the FEMA regulations and what somebody's going to appraise some of those structures for, and so there's some strategy that we need to put in place there. But, you know, and Dave will say this, you know, he ran the marina out of a trailer. I mean,
Right.
we'll figure something out. I personally think that, you know, call it rustic, you know, call it whatever the hell you want, that type of ambiance down there is exactly why you go to Don's
Sure.
Dock. You're not expecting to go into a state-of-the-art type bait
Exactly.
shop to, you
You
know,
want some-
buy fuel
Right.
and a bucket of shrimp for the day. And so I think we're okay there. I just think, I want to hand it off to Tom. Tom's got something to tell you about the lease and how we would proceed from there. And then maybe we should talk a little bit about where we go from here with the owners in regards to price. And I think I've got a strategy that makes sense, and I'll run that by you. But Tom, if you want to go.
I just want to ask one more question before we go to that.
Sure.
Didn't they put new gas tanks down there?
They did.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I thought. Okay.
The fuel's
When
good
Rich bought
to
it.
go.
When Rich bought it, he put new
Yeah,
new
they put all
tanks
new
in.
fuel tanks in
No,
them.
Paul had them relined, but Rich put new ones in.
Okay.
Fuel and transient space only. That's what is the important thing here. It's
Right.
just gonna be transient docks.
Is
It
it
is.
a dock
Many
big
as
enough
we
for
can put
everybody
in.
down
And
there?
that's a good service for everybody, because that brings people to the pass.
Oh,
Because you know,
absolutely.
they're parking for free out on the sandbar.
You know, I can picture.
Well, and
like
all
a
the
parking
traveling
box
people,
down
all the people going by
I know,
John's
I
Pass.
know.
If you can just pull in the pass, slide up, tie up for the night, go in, have dinner, what a nicer place to stay.
Exactly. And
And
you know,
it's
there's
easy in, easy out, deep channels. It's a home run.
there's a lot of things that can be done with the dock, so I think we'll explore a lot of those possibilities once we finalize the sale.
Right.
The sale's the big thing. Do we want to buy it, and is it a good deal? And I say yes.
Yeah.
Mr. City Attorney, you had something?
Yeah, Mayor, I just wanted to remind you that what you're basically doing if you purchase this property, you're just basically stepping into the shoes of the landlord that is there now. You have a legal obligation to honor the lease through the term of the lease. The lease was for 3 years, and so it will not be up until June 14th of next year, 2015. So that means that you will be a landlord, you will be obligated to do what you would normally do under the terms of the agreement. In addition to that, you've got to always understand that he has a right to purchase the property all the way up to the end of the term of the lease. And so he could come to you then, if you bought the property, you step into the landlord's shoes, he could come to you on the 13th day of June 2015 and tell you he's got $1,400,000, and you're going to be obligated to sell it to him because he has that right under the terms of this agreement. So just so that you have that in the back of your mind, that is a legal possibility.
So the price would be the same even though if we, let's say we fixed it up or we made the property
We
worth
can't,
more money?
we're not doing anything
Okay, so
until
we
the
wouldn't
end of
touch
that
it. What about
term.
even far as property values going
No,
up? So
no.
it all stay the same?
It would be the same. Now, the issue here is that the existing owners are claiming that the existing tenant is in breach of the lease because he was late in paying his taxes. And I would say we need to solidify that and in some way, shape, or form, and I think that this will go into the next thing that I want to talk to you about, Tom's suggestion on the conference call, was to make sure that he's not going to buy the property in June. There's no reason to go through this if we're just going to get it stuck to us in June of next year. Am I wrong? I don't think so.
No.
So there's no way. So we want to solidify the fact that that's not going to happen. And so Tom, I think, had a great suggestion on the conference call was, let's buy this thing, give him a break on his rent from now, well, from closing until the term, June 14th or whatever the date may be, in exchange for an agreement saying, I'm out. And that makes sense, I think. And in the meantime, you know, we'll probably collect between he's being charged $7,500 a month right now. You break that down to $5,000 or $6,000 a month over the next couple of, you know, that call it 8 or 9, 10 months. He's getting a little bit of a break. He can relocate. He can do whatever he needs to do, and then we don't run that risk. If you don't want to do that, and you just want to, and we can't some other way from a legal standpoint determine whether or not he's already breached his lease, there's no reason to go through this.
Yeah, and just to follow up on that, once we buy the property and the seller is gone, how are we going to prove that possible breach of the lease? That we'd have to bring them back in. Believe me, they won't be that interested in helping you prove up your case. And then there is this legal theory that basically provides that if they continue to receive rent payments or allow taxes to be paid, then they've waived that breach. And so there's that legal argument too. But the bottom line is that we would have those arguments. We would just need them to prove it up if we got into court. And we really don't want to litigate this thing. You want a clean-cut deal so that you've got no exposure and you can move forward. But you just need to know that these are issues that are out there. We didn't talk about numbers, but obviously if he's, and you may do other things too. He's obligated to maintain certain things, and you may want to take on those maintenance responsibilities, and so you can make sure that it doesn't go into further disrepair, and maybe that's a benefit to him because he doesn't have that obligation. So there are some other things that we may be able to negotiate the deal to make it sweeter for him to waive his right to purchase and to acknowledge that he is going to leave on June 14th next year.
Or the possibility of if he needs additional time. There's nothing magical about June 14th, 2015 to us. Maybe he needs an additional 6 months to make a cash flow, some sort of business decision on his end. Maybe we would be even open to that, but I think Tom nails it right on the head. We need to seal this deal before we close on this property to go through the lend and all that drama. It'll be August or September before we do that. Just to lose the property in June makes absolutely no sense.
Why couldn't we buy it the lease? Why can't you wheel and deal like that? With the owner now
Yeah.
helping us out, he wants the cash in his hand, and the guy that's down there leasing it. Why don't we work on some project like that?
Well, I think in a roundabout way, that's what we would do. In his current lease, he's got the first right of refusal. And what the owners are saying is he's breached the lease, he doesn't have that anymore. What Tom is saying, and I agree with them, is, yeah, well, you let him pay his taxes, he's been paying rent to you the whole time, you didn't complain about that, so the lease, you waived that. And so I think we just work with him in a gentleman-type fashion, man-to-man, and say, hey, we're going to buy this property, what's it going to take for us to, make a deal, and I think he'll be open to it. At the end of the day, I mean, the word on the street is he's been trying to get financed for forever. If it's not going to happen and he knows that, he'll work with us.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, we might be
So
able
I
to
think
buy
we're
him out.
fine. In terms of the numbers, and somebody smarter than me can certainly bring up a suggestion, but, Vince hit it on the head for me this afternoon. We were talking about a $1.45 to a $1.5 million price tag before we got this condition report. Now, we knew what was in the condition report, but come on, they got to move a little bit, especially if we're going to move earlier than what was anticipated to close this deal. So what do you rebut their offer with? And frankly, remember, we've done that already. They found us $75,000 worth of expenditures that they wanted to add on to the price, and I said, wait a minute, that's not the number we were working with. It was a nickel and dime type budget already. You can't just throw another, $75,000 or $100,000 at the price tag because you didn't know where you had some expenses. They were cool with that, but what they told us on the phone was this: close sooner, and we'll be more lenient on the price. I think what we should do, and I've got Dave working on it already, is he's going to get a value of what the docks are out there right now. What are we buying? Bricks and mortar. What is the value of that? And then we'll get the property appraised and assessed and take a look at those values. And then in a meeting coming up real shortly, we'll probably have to call a special meeting, formulate a response to that. And, I don't think we're going to get this for $800,000. We're probably looking at the $1.2, $1.3 million range, but $100,000 is $100,000. We're going to need that because, obviously, per the condition report, we're going to have to sink a couple bucks into this thing to make it happen.
But it's the site.
It's the
that we're
site.
buying.
It is.
Never mind the building and all that
Correct.
crap.
Location,
You're buying the
location, which is good.
location.
Yeah,
That's
you got
exactly
You have an
what we're
adjacent property,
But-
and you're going to be able to put in, hopefully, 25 docks.
But I do think the deal killer is the first right of refusal.
Yep.
If I can't get him to sign that first right of refusal back to us and say it's null and void, we really should stop this whole process.
I
We
agree.
really should.
Yeah.
I would love to
I'd
buy
be scared
Donstock.
of that,
Donstock is
of buying-
perfect for Madeira Beach, absolutely perfect.
Let's see if we
Some
can buy
type
it
of
that
property
lease.
there would be perfect. But if we can't get him to say, because I'm not going to sit here and wait until June 13th of next year and then him get,
Yeah, and hope to go.
because he's,
It's so important
so that's a deal breaker for me.
if this city owned that piece of property, that I think every effort should be made, with Tom taking us by the hand, and do whatever we have to do to get it, without us being a nervous wreck. Oh, my God, he might be. I don't want us to be a nervous wreck. I want us to buy it and be happy that we bought it. That we did something really good for this community, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah,
We're doing something really good for Madeira
I
Beach.
agree with you, and I think we should be, take the high road with the tenant, and he hasn't been mean or underhanded to us yet, but, somewhere these rumors are being, brought up, and, that's, typical sometimes of how these things happen, but I wonder if we should just, ask the city attorney to get in touch with his counsel and say, hey, the city wants to buy this property, is your client willing to sign off based off of X, Y, and Z? And I think Tom's right, as many pennies as we can pinch out of this guy for the, that offsets your purchase price, obviously. But there's value to this first right of refusal, and we're gonna buy that probably. But there's also things down there that we, if he's responsible to maintain, frankly, I don't know what the hell he could sabotage, what's he not gonna take care of the ship store? It's fallen down to begin with. So, I think maybe we should ask the city attorney to just move in that direction. Let's see what the will is on behalf of the current tenant to work with us, and hopefully we can all be, adult about this and put together a package that works.
Is there any code violations against the current tenant down there? Because I know I've heard a lot of complaints down there.
But, I have to be careful on how I answer that. There's been a level of leniency offered ever since the city paid interest in this piece of property. And I did that only because I didn't want it to look like I was pushing him out of town and do anything that would make it look like we were doing something underhanded. Is he completely compliant with his site plan and how he portrayed what he was going to do down there? Absolutely no. But he's not getting any leniency other than any other business that we would have offered in town. It's always about compliancy first, and then we enforce it. So, loading trucks in the street, running it down Pelican Lane, those are all things that we've talked to him about. Mayor, you and I had a meeting with him. It's always good for a week or two, and then it kind of falls apart. That's no different than a lot of businesses that we work with on a daily basis. But what I didn't want to do was, oh, look, now you're sticking it to me. I can't conduct my business because you want to buy this property out from underneath me. That was never the intent, and I would consider that dirty pool. We don't want to go that route.
How bad does the owner want to sell it?
Owner wants out.
Really bad?
He's going to sell it to somebody. Yeah, this is not, if we decide not to, he's out, and I don't know if he would assist the current tenant in some owner financing or what the case may be, but the two owners want absolutely out.
Okay. Good question. Cross my mind. If you get into these real estate things sometimes, I've been already done that very times.
I can imagine.
And they get with it.
Yep. So Mayor, if it be the will of the commission, I think
I just have one question for Dave.
Yep.
Dave, just looking, I know we weren't really talking about the business center, the business plan about tonight, but looking at the location and probably what the city marina's been losing for the last couple of years of traffic coming from the south end of the ICW, the Treasure Island area. I notice a lot of boats don't travel further north to get fuel when they're hitting Johns Pass. They usually hit what's in John Pass. I mean, do you see this as a true revenue maker in the future for the city of Madeira Beach besides the transient
Yes.
docks is actually an awesome idea, and I've heard a lot of people, I'm sure as well as y'all have, that say, the first thing they say, there's nowhere to park down here. So, no, and I agree with you guys. My only questions and my only thoughts were the docks that were put in. I've docked on with a 45-foot boat. They just don't seem to be feeling great, and I know there's a few issues, but they can be straightened out pretty easy after seeing this report here on that.
Yeah, yes, we can, there's nothing out there that we can't work with now, and we know that we're going to have to make an investment in that property to improve the docks, improve everything. So, that's part of it. But yes, it's absolutely going to be a wonderful location. It's going to open up commerce. It's going to, and it will be a good business for the city, catching all those transient boats and stuff that we're not getting now because they don't want to travel all the way through. There's a bump in the ICW now too, that we lose a lot of deeper draft boats that can't get all the way over there, or if they don't know how to sneak along the seawall, like some people do. So, yes, I mean, it just improves everything.
The one thing, Mr. Mayor, is, Vince has a financing plan in there, and we've got some press in the room. There's a number of different ways you guys can do this, but I want you to be careful. You're looking at a $1.75 million investment, give or take. You can pay complete cash for that. I can write you a 10-page paper why you shouldn't do that. You can put some money down and finance the rest. You can finance the whole thing, and I think we can make that make sense over the next couple of, weeks. Putting some money down probably makes all the sense in the world. Paying all the cash down, considering everything that you guys want to get done, maybe not such a good idea. In the city manager's budget, we've budgeted for the debt service. It's in the budget, good to go. But when you're talking about this on the streets, having a cup of coffee with your neighbor, and you say, well, the condition report came back, and so it's not going to be 1.45, it's going to be 1.2, and we save that, you're not saving that. You're going to reinvest that in the property probably. And so at the end of the day, you're looking at a $1.75 million investment to own this piece of property, which was offset by $300,000 that you were going to invest in transient dockage. So that's what started this whole thing. So now you're looking at a $1.45 million investment, and it has the wherewithal to turn a profit, hopefully, in year one. Mass fuel sales, bait, that type of thing, I think it'll go a long way.
Sandbar business.
So I don't think we lost a lot of money on the bond by the extra time that we spent on it. But, rates are low, and so we're going to jump on this pretty quick. I mean, we really need to find out if he's going to lose the first right of refusal. As soon as we find that out, we should go out and get some cheaper money.
But you're not going to bond for it. This will be a typical lend.
No, but it's still going to be an interest rate that's low
The interest rate
now.
will be fabulous.
We're going to be able to get a decent interest rate right now. The longer you wait, I guarantee you the interest rates are going to go up. It's just going to go up.
That's absolutely true. The other thing you got to be ready for, and it'll just be dictated on how fast Vince can make the process go, is they're going to say, fine, but you got to move fast. They're going to want to close within 60, 90 days, and so that doesn't happen. This is going to be a very expedited process, and we're going to have to be ready for extra meetings and all those types of things to get this done, because I think that will make them more flexible on this price and make this work.
And I know that, people are out there watching, and I just wanted to reiterate that the purchase that we made in John's Pass already at the Fantasy Planet, the Realtors building, has paid off handsomely. And it's paid for itself several times. So we've made purchases in the past, and in this area, it's going to be another good purchase. It's a good purchase. It will make money for the city of Madeira Beach for generations to come. They're not making any more waterfront property.
Right.
Well, the Corps of Engineers are not. I mean, my dirt was filled in for my house. The Corps of Engineers came in and filled that dirt. They're not doing it anymore. They'll love to do that. The environmentalists get a little upset.
Commissioner Lisser, I think you're absolutely right. It is a good deal, and it's something that needs to be moved forward on if we could go ahead and do that. And Commissioner Shantz, I know that you actually sat on this commission on the Fantasy Planet when the city actually purchased
I got
that.
thrown out of office there. So.
And that was actually probably, like I say, if
Right
you
on
look back
my
now,
side.
when you can look in these budgets, it was a
It's
good
well
deal.
worth it.
And this is, like I said, for a waterfront community, and, I mean, I just think it's what we're doing in
It's
tourism.
an added service for the citizens.
Absolutely,
Ab-
absolutely. Vince, one question for you. So would this, if we, everything rolled right and we moved into it, would this be part of the Marina Fund, or would it be its own separate enterprise fund?
No, the way I'm tentatively planning for it is it would be its own enterprise fund, separate
Okay.
from the marina.
So the marina and it would be separate, but some expenses, I know the fuel would probably be bought the same way that the city marina.
Well, there would be
Because you
certain
do the same
things that,
pricing.
operationally, there would be a lot of things very similar. A lot of the vendors would be the same, a lot of the purchase agreements would be the same. But in terms of actually accounting for the two operations, we would have two separate funds.
Okay.
And we can, we
Two
can
separate funds to keep.
do that
easier
a
to
couple
keep track
different
of.
ways, but that would be
I
my
think for
recommendation.
transparency in the beginning, that's a
Yes.
great idea.
Yeah.
It'll
Because
be
people want to know
Absolutely.
if you're going to, is this losing a lot of money?
Yes.
Is it losing any money?
Right.
Is it making any money? They're
It'll be
gonna wanna-
accounted for separately, but if the John's Pass Marina is in surplus of $100,000 and the other marina is in the red by $25,000, we can transfer out and make that balance out. And so it really is going to be a department of one with two separate divisions, but we'll certainly account for them separately, because in 5 years, and we say, look, we haven't turned a penny of profit on this thing,
Right.
why are we in it? And then you have to make a business decision whether or not it makes sense to have that transient dockage there. And there's a number of reasons why to do this. separate from turning a penny of revenue, so.
Just a quick reminder, though, the city's not in the business to make money. I mean, we're here to take care of the.
That's my point,
residents.
exactly.
I'm just gonna go there.
Yep.
But we would love to make money on everything.
Marina makes money.
We're gonna make money.
I know we are.
Yeah, it's a marina. So, Mr. Crawford, I take it you're looking for a consensus from the commission to go
Just-
ahead and look for, move forward with
just to
talking
move
with Dela
forward.
Cruz and also,
Just a generic motion to move forward, just thumbs up, and then Tom will do his thing with the existing tenant and their council, and then the final agreement obviously will come back to you guys, so you're not authorizing the purchase tonight, obviously.
I certainly will make a motion to continue with the purchase of Don stock. That's a pretty generic motion.
That's
You need
what we're
anything
looking
else?
for.
I'll second it.
okay, motions are made and second. Is there any discussion amongst the commission? Is there any further discussion? Would the city clerk please call the roll?
Vice Mayor Hodges?
Yes.
Commissioner Lister?
Yes.
Commissioner Poe? Commissioner Shantz?
Yes.
Mayor Palladino?
Yes. All right. I guess that's it.
Mayor,
So-
just before we adjourn, I don't know if we excused Commissioner Pohl, just so everybody understands that her husband had some major surgery today, and she was going to try to make the meeting, and I asked her not to and stay where she needed to be, so she'll be absent from tonight and probably the next workshop.
Okay, and I think at the next regular meeting, Mr. City Attorney, at that time, we could ask a motion for her to be, her excuse, correct, at the,
You can do that then,
Okay.
that's correct.
okay, thank you. All righty, seeing no further business, this meeting is adjourned at 5:32.